1969, a psychiatrist said that adultery has become a so-called lighthearted and guilt-free pastime. Some of the latest studies show that 60% of married men and 35 to 40% of women admit to committing adultery. Today, adultery is everywhere: TV, internet, magazines, social media, and even our mobile devices. Today, people don't view adultery as a shocking or sinful practice. Even Christendom doesn't condone this practice. But let's see how Jehovah views this subject. If we turn to Leviticus chapter 20, it's Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10. Verse 10 reads, "Now regarding a man who commits adultery with another man's wife, the one who commits adultery with the wife of his fellow man should be put to death without fail, the adulterer and the adulteress." So this scripture shows us just how serious of a sin this is in Jehovah's eyes. Under the Mosaic law, the penalty for adultery was severe: death for both parties. Many today may be guilty of committing adultery without even being aware of it. If we notice what Jesus said at Matthew chapter 5, verse 27 and 28, it reads, You heard that it was said, you must not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who keeps on looking at a woman so as to have a passion for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So here it's saying that a married man could be guilty of what might be called mental adultery. Like it said in verse 28, if he kept on looking at a woman so as to have a passion for her, such a person might be committing adultery in his heart. Today, many people try to find excuses for committing adultery. However, they're just deceiving themselves. The biblical rule stated at Galatians chapter 6, verse 7 says that whatever a man is sowing, this he will also reap. The results of such actions can be very bad, resulting in a guilty conscience, diseases, unwanted pregnancy, psychological problems, and worst of all, a damaged relationship with Jehovah. But if we notice what it says at Proverbs chapter 6, chapter 6, verses 32 and 33. And it says, anyone committing adultery with a woman is lacking good sense. The one who does so brings ruin on himself. He will get only wounds and dishonor, and his grace will not be wiped away. So if you notice how it said there, he that does it is bringing his own soul to ruin. Genesis 39 verse 9 says that adultery is actually a sin against God. Jehovah will judge those guilty of adultery, and none who persist in such a course will inherit God's kingdom. To help us guard against this practice, we need to first start with our hearts and minds. We have to refuse to dwell on immoral thoughts, avoid watching movies or television programs that feature immorality. We also need to avoid reading books and magazines that feature sexually provocative or pornographic material. We also need to remember that we need to ask Jehovah for strength through prayer to help us avoid this dangerous situation, to protect ourselves, our families, and most importantly, our relationship with Jehovah.